Hello, welcome to the very first episode of Who Am I? My name is Bayo Eson. I'll be your host for the evening. We all have lived life. We've all had trials and tribulations. We've all struggled. We've all had highs and lows. Who Am I presents that platform for local individuals to be able to tell their story. Because I truly believe that we all have a story to tell. And this is the platform where individuals will be able to express to the world and inform the world of all the trials and tribulations, all the lows, all the struggles, all the good things that we've all been through, good, bad, and the ugly. We will reach highs and we will reach lows. We will uncover wounds that these individuals have covered for years. We will dig deep into their childhood as well as any other things that they've had throughout their life. We will definitely explore their family dynamics. We will explore some of the toughest times in life. Some individuals may have spent time behind bars, in trouble with the law, and we will, Who Am I presents that platform and presents that opportunity for these individuals to express themselves and be able to explain or share with the world or share with you, my audience, some of the things that they've experienced in life. Our first guest for Who Am I will be Mr. Darius Thomas. Darius Thomas is a Charlotte native, lived here all his life, and a lot of people know Darius Thomas as the athlete. Who Am I is going to explore his entire life. We're going to explore his childhood, his adulthood, fatherhood. We're also going to explore his individual troubles running with the law. We're going to dig deep into some of the wounds that Darius Thomas has suppressed over these years. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Darius Thomas. Thank you. How you doing?
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. Mr. Darius Thomas, also known as D-Thom.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Everything all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming today.
No problem.
Thank you for coming today. We just want to have a conversation.
Okay.
You know, I truly believe that the world, everybody, definitely have a story to tell.
Right.
And I believe that you have an intriguing story. And I really want you to share it with the world. We might dig deep into some places and we may uncover some wounds that you may not want to relive. It might touch some parts of your life that you may not want to be touched. But if you at any point you feel uncomfortable, you can definitely tell us to stop, and we'll go ahead and we'll stop right there. Okay. Everything good?
Yeah. Definitely.
All right. So I guess first and foremost, tell me, who is Darius Bernard Thomas?
Well, first off, I'm a man of God.
All right.
I'm a new husband. I'm a father to my kids. I'm a quarterback. In a nutshell, all four of those make up me right now today.
That's
the man I am today.
Okay, so let's take it back a little bit. Actually, let's take it way back.
Okay.
Like they say, let's go way back. So tell me about your childhood. Tell me from the very, anything you want to tell me about your childhood.
Childhood, I had a rough childhood, man. I got 6 sisters total, 1 brother. It was kind of tough for me. I didn't meet my dad until I was 7 years old. Met him as my football coach. And he dropped me off at home. Long story short, come to find out he's my father or whatever. Stayed in a 2-bedroom house. 13 people in a 2-bedroom, 11 girls, 2 boys, just me and my brother. Been a man of my house since I was 6 years old. Man, I lived a rough childhood. I seen it all. I've been around it all. Neighborhood I'm from, just about like everybody in the city neighborhoods around America. So pretty much everything everybody see and go through in the city, killings, losing the family members, drug addicts in your family, all that. I come from all that.
You mentioned that you lived in a 2-bedroom house with, you say 12 individuals, 13 individuals? 13 individuals. How was it living with all the brothers and sisters?
1 bathroom, you gotta take your time. In the morning, my mom would wake us up. I used to try to beat everybody to the bathroom so I can be in the bathroom first. I'll lock the door, now everybody mad at me. But it was stressful, man, not having your own space, your own bed, your own bedroom, sleeping foot to face with my sisters for years. It got to be the norm, man. It got to be the norm. I didn't complain about much. We didn't have much. I never complained. Birthdays was ordinary days. Happy birthday, you turned 7 today. happy birthday, you turn 8, Christmas, the same things. I was more so wanting things for my sisters. I had a younger sister and younger brother. I didn't really too much care about anything. But as far as with them, I wanted them to make sure everything was right. My grandma, we lived with my grandma. My grandma was hard. She taught us just about how everybody's grandmother is. So, yeah, it's real. Like I said, I didn't get with my dad for a little second. So it took a little while. Living with my grandmother, it was tough. Of course, schooling was first, no matter what. Sometimes we'll go to school with the same clothes on all week. I remember days when I had on the same shirt for 3 and 4 days. My grandmother didn't care. Only thing she cared about was school. Reading, arithmetic, all that writing. Your handwriting had to be right. My grandmother was strict to the T, and she was a very small lady, like about 4 feet 8, 130 pounds, and she was the real deal. I love my grandmother.
So, you stated that you didn't meet your father until you was about 7 years old, and you just so happened to meet him because he was your football coach.
Right.
So, how did that all take place? How did he say that, oh, he's your father? How?
Like, the day that it actually happened, he didn't come out and say, I'm your father. We was leaving football practice. He was dropping me off at football practice. I still don't know that this man is my father at this point. But he dropped me off at football practice. He seen my grandmother standing on the porch and was like, who is that lady to you? And I told her who she was. And he went and talked to my grandma. He told me to stay in the car. He went and talked to my grandma. He came back to the car. And next thing I know, he was like, or whatever, I see you in football practice. I get in the house. My mom and my grandma, they the one who's telling me that man is your dad. So from that day in football, the very next day in football practice, it might have been on a Tuesday or Thursday or whatever the case may be, he was excited about calling me son and kept on saying son this and son that. And before it was D. He knew my last name was Thomas. I don't know if he was thinking like, well, this is my son because his last name Thomas or whatever he was thinking, but he was calling me Lil D. But once they figured that out, he was son this and son that and was trying to, like, I don't know, I was more so excited about him calling me son than instead of being embarrassed by him calling me that. I was excited, like, yeah, this is my dad or whatever. I went to sleep that night when my mom and my grandma told me that he was my dad. I was excited about knowing who my dad was. Like, I wanted to know a lot about him from that point on. So that's how that really went.
So that next practice, when you came to practice, how did that first interaction with now your dad, no longer still your coach, but now he's your dad, and you have that mentality, this is my dad. How did that go?
Other than him calling me son back and forth, he didn't do anything unique, like pick me up and grab me and say, I'm sorry about missing this time out your life or whatever the case may be. He didn't do nothing like that. Maybe around coaches, he was more so proud to say, this is my son, because I was a standout athlete as a young boy. Maybe around them, he was more so to say that, but around me, he didn't do that or whatever. He just started embracing it slowly around me. I guess he didn't want to pour too much on me, like, yeah, well, I'm your daddy, so you need to start doing this and do this differently, or do that differently. He didn't do nothing like that. So he took it slow. I was more so wanting him to do a lot, like, you know, I'm your father now, come live with me and try to take me out of the situation where I was living at. You know what I mean? I was ready for that part.
Tell me more about your grandmother.
My grandmother, she passed away in 2011, but my grandmother, not only did me and my mother and the rest of my siblings stayed in that house, but my mother's sister, which is my aunt, she stayed in the house, and her daughter stayed in the house as well. My grandmother was everybody's mom. My grandmother watched all the grandkids. My grandmother disciplined all the kids in the neighborhood. Our house was always the house to be at. We always had snacks. We always had the most food. We always had toys, little stuff, or whatever the case may be. Everybody wanted to be at our house. My grandmother was the sweetest lady to know. If she disciplining you, it's for all the right reasons. She's not going to mistreat you because you have less or treat you better because you have more. You know, she played it by the books, and without my grandmother, I wouldn't even be as, I went through a lot of things. I'm not going to make it seem like I'm perfect or I'm this Christian child or everything I did right, but as far as respecting my elders and doing what's right, my grandmother got everything to do with that. At least 95% to do with that. And that's a fact. My grandmother, like I said, she wanted to make sure you went to school. If you get in trouble or anything, my grandmother's the first person that's gonna be there. Like my grandmother, she was the glue to our family. My grandmother, like everybody else's grandmother, that grandmother that you see in the movie,
Right.
that was my grandmother in a nutshell.
Of course, it was heartache. Of course, I mean, that definitely, with any passing and anybody close to you, is gonna hurt. So I asked you the question, how was it, how was your life without the grandmother? That foundation, that rock that you always had in your life that took you from birth to, I mean, the man that raised you to be the man that you are today. You know, how was it after she passed?
I'm not gonna make it seem like everything was hard, but I took it hard because of how my grandmother looked at me. Like, she looked at me as a symbol of hope. Like, no matter what, that I was gonna be the reason to get my family out of the struggle. Like, even when I went off to college, my grandmother told me not to come back because she knew my family would leech on to me and she wanted me to have something. Like, so when my grandmother passed away, it took so much out of me. Like, I turned evil. I started doing things that I wasn't known for doing. Like, I was out of the norm and not thinking like I'm only doing this because my grandmother passed. It was just, it came so natural to me. It's like, forget it. I don't gotta respect nobody. Ain't nobody here like my grandmother was there. Like, mind you, my mom, she was there, but she couldn't support me how she wanted to. Maybe if it was just 1 or 2 kids, she probably could have or did more. If all the kids was doing the same activities or participating in the same thing, maybe my mom could have been there to support me, but my mom wasn't there to support me. I met my dad at this age or whatever. He was there or whatever the case may be, but that mother love, that grandmother love, my grandmother love, it was tough. Not only for me, it was tough for a lot of people. It was real tough for a lot of people. Then I carried the burden on my shoulders because I wanted to still be that strong family member that everybody can look up to because my grandmother was the glue. Right. After that comes my mother, but my mother needed me. My siblings needed me. Like, anytime something happened or went on, I was the name to be called. Like, throughout my family, like my whole family, like everybody in my family looked at me like I was supposed to be that guy to rescue us. And my grandmother installed it in everybody about me, how special I was. I didn't realize it when I was younger or when I was growing through it, like I might have some bad days. I still didn't realize how special I was or see the things that my grandmother seen to me. I didn't see those things or knew how detrimental I was going to be to my siblings or my mother or whatever the case may be. Like, my grandmother used to tell me when I went off to school to not come back. It hurted me for her to even say that because of how much my family meant to me. But I wasn't thinking how she was thinking about it. So
Everybody to know, out of your siblings, where did you fall in that as far as like that?
I was the third child. I have 2 older sisters, and I have 4 younger sisters, and I have a little brother.
Okay. I'm going back to your grandmother. Just one more thing. And she sounds like she was your rock. She sounded like she was everyone's rock. Right. You know, she was everybody's foundation. You know, so I asked you this. Take a look at that camera, and if you could say anything to your grandmother today, if she was standing here today, what is it that you want to say to her?
If I could say anything to my granny, I would tell her, first of all, how much I love her, how much I miss her, and I wish that I would have took things more serious how you wanted me to. I want you to be proud of me. I know some things that I might be doing might not be right, but I'm being the man that you wanted me to be. I'm in my kids' life. I'm living. I wouldn't even know what to do about it. I just appreciate you so much, Granny, for everything that you've done for us. Not only me, but everybody. I know everybody, or people might not get the opportunity to say that, or whatever the case may be, but what you did for me, I'm very blessed. No matter what I went through, I believe I lived a blessed life, and it's because of you, Gary. And I love you so much.
Of course, in the previous segment, we talked about your father and meeting him when you were 7 years old, and he was your football coach. I guess give me a brief rundown about your football career. How did you start, and where you at now? Just things like that, from high school, middle school. I mean, just everything.
Okay. I started playing football just like every other kid in the neighborhood, maybe 5, 6 years old, playing with the 9, 10-year-old boys or whatever the case may be. My first time signing up for football was through my childhood friend. He was 3 years older than me. I'm 6, he's 9 years old. His mom, we used to play football in his backyard. His mom seen me and was just like, this boy gotta play football. She took me to football practice and for the PL South Raiders and signed me up, not knowing it was gonna be $25. So she told me it was $25 to play football. I went back home, told my mom, told my grandma. My grandmother was like, well, you better get that lawnmower, catch some grass to be able to pay that, or whatever the case may be. So I did what my granny told me, and it took me 2 weeks. So the football coach was wondering where I was at. It took me 2 weeks to come back out and play football or whatever, but I got that $25. That was my first time playing football or whatever the case may be. I didn't have a designated ride to practice at the time. I used to ride the city bus as a 7-year-old. I'm riding the city bus before coaches really started realizing how far I was away from, like, I live inner city. I used to have to ride the city bus to the downtown transit to Revolution Park as a 7-year-old. It was normal for me with my football equipment on, with my mouthpiece in my mouth like I'm about to get tackled. The very next play I'm going to get tackled, I used to wear my mouthpiece, not even say nothing to nobody. But I always been a standout athlete. Pop Warner, I was in the newspaper at Pop Warner. You know, I played for the Raiders. We won the national championship in Florida. I went to the national championship 3 times. In 1999, we went and won the whole thing. In 2000, we went, lost. And in 2003, we went. Pop Warner, I was in the Pop Warner little sports magazine. As far as middle school go, I played middle school ball for 1 year for a school called Eastway Middle School. We came from 4 years in a row that had went 0-6.
Wow.
So my 7th grade year, I wanted to play Pop Warner again, but I was too big. I got much bigger than everybody. So I had to play middle school ball. And I played with Eastway, and we won 3 games and lost 3 games. I won player of the conference that year. In 6 games, I scored 19 touchdowns.
Wow.
I played everything. I played quarterback, running back, linebacker, punt return, kick return, safety. Wherever you can see me, you can see that little old number 10, and I was doing it. I was taking the ball from people. I was making basketball moves. I was something at Eastway, but my team was in the 9th grade. I wanted to play JV ball, JV football, because I felt like, man, I can't play with these big guys or whatever the case may be. I'm in the 9th grade, so I'm playing quarterback at the time. We get to lifting weights in the 9th grade. I'm on a bench press the machine, and I'm doing way too much than I can bench. And it had came down and it had cracked my wrist or sprained my wrist or whatever the case may be, and I couldn't play quarterback no more. So I didn't want to get cut, so I automatically switched my position. In football practice, I went from playing quarterback to playing running back and playing DB. So like if you play quarterback, then you strictly play quarterback. But if you play running back, you got to play if you play any other position, you got to play a defense position too. So I'm playing running back and I'm playing safety at the time. So it's times in JV practice in the summertime while I'm not even getting tackled. Like, it's crazy. I'm not even getting tackled. I'm playing safety. I'm coming up and I'm blowing people up. Like, it was crazy. And one day I get to practice and the head coach, Coach Michael Jordan, he was like, son, change locker rooms, and was telling me I was playing varsity ball. So I went from playing JV yesterday to today, now I'm playing varsity ball. So we got the varsity, and I was a little nervous, but I adapted quick because I'm used to playing with the older boys, even
Right.
basketball. Like, my game was for older people. Like, I was advanced. I was much advanced than people my age. From 6 years old all the way up, anybody my age, I was either bigger than them, smarter than them, or rougher than them, any of that. But
So where did you play your ninth grade ball at?
I played for Vans High School.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I played for Vans High School. We wasn't good. We went 5-7. We made the playoffs. My dad took me off the football team because I had a 2.12. Like, we only needed a 2.0. I had a 2.12, but I had 2 Fs in core classes. I had an F in geometry and I had an F in English. And my dad wasn't going for it no matter what. I was able to play, but my dad took me off the team. The coaches was mad at him or whatever the case may be. I couldn't even try out for basketball during the time until the next report cards came out. So I had to wait for that to even play basketball.
Wow.
Yeah, but I had a rough ninth grade year as a freshman. I made all conference as a freshman. I played punt return and I played strong safety, not even free safety. I played strong safety. I scored 4 touchdowns. I ran back 1 punt. I had an option run. I had a little slant pass touchdown. Like, I did pretty good as a ninth grader with a few interceptions, some tackles or whatever, but I didn't get to finish the season because of my grades.
Right.
So, like I said, I'm thankful for my dad doing that because that woke me back up. Coming from middle school, I was a 4.0 student. Like, I had a 4.0 3 times in the 8th grade. So when I got to 9th grade, and it's like you got a 2.12 with 2 Fs, it's like high school got, so I was on varsity. I'm seeing new girls every day. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy, but yeah, that's how that happened, man. Then so I couldn't try out for basketball, so I had to wait for the report cards to come out. So when report cards came out, like, I had gym class, so the basketball coach was already seeing me in gym. 9th grade, I got my first dunk when I was in the 8th grade. So 9th grade, I'm working out more, I'm lifting, I'm in the gym, I'm triple threading, going to the baseline, I'm dunking. The basketball coach seeing me like, man, this guy can really play. So, but I wasn't able to try out. So I had to wait till report cards came out. It was like, they came out during the middle of basketball season. So when they came out, I had talked to the basketball coach and he had let me try out. So he had let me try out for 4 days. Like, tryouts was over. We got our varsity team, we got our JV team. Tryouts was over. He still let me try out for 4 days. The first 2 days I'm with JV. I'm in practice. It's nothing that they couldn't do to me. Like, double team, I'm making the right decisions. One-on-one, I'm making the right decisions. Whether they was bigger than me, smaller than me, like, I was making the right decisions. It got to a point to where, this when I was selfish playing basketball. Like, I was all about scoring and it's nothing that you can do to me. Like, it took some maturity for me to start believing in my teammates or whatever. But after those first 2 days of JV practice, that Wednesday I was practicing with the varsity. That Friday we had a basketball game for varsity. I'm on a varsity team, so I didn't get to dress out or play no JV football or no JV basketball. I played varsity basketball for like 7 games until like maybe 9 games until the season was over. We had a playoff game. The most points I scored was 9 points. As a 9th grade, I scored 9 points. I was deep off the bench for varsity. I would like to play JV. I know I could have got 40 points in or something like that. But we played one playoff game my 9th grade year basketball against Butler, and they beat us. I played like 2 minutes that game. So I had a short 9th grade basketball career, but that automatically transferred over to baseball. Now I'm playing baseball and running track, 9th grade. Well, of course, I had to get my grades back up and play or whatever, and they stayed up from that point on. But played baseball. I'm at baseball practice, and once again, want to play JV. I want to play JV so bad. I'm at JV practice. I'm hitting the ball. I'm looking good. I wanted to play outfield. Like, my whole career, I played shortstop, second base, or pitcher. I played middle infield. So I get the high school ball. And I wanted to play outfield because I had a strong arm and I wanted to throw people out. We get to doing pop flies and throwing at the home plate. Like, people before me, they using the cutoff man. I'm forgetting the cutoff man even exists. I'm throwing it over his head, over the pitcher's head, smooth on home. Like, the baseball coach seen me, advanced Coach Robinson, he seen me, and automatically he started taking me home. He bought my care pack. Like, he seen so much in me, he bought me a new glove. Like, he just knew I was going to be a Major League Baseball player. Like, he met my mom, he met my grandma, he was at dinners. Like, he was doing the most for me, like, seeing me play baseball. And be honest, I believe I was the best at baseball, then football, then basketball. I even played golf.
Oh, wow.
For 4 years. I golf. I used to box when I was younger for 2 years. But anything to stay out of the house, I did.
Right.
Whatever to stay out of the house. I don't even want to be in the house with a whole bunch of girls. But yeah, baseball season, and we was pretty good. I made all conference as a baseball player too. I was real good at stealing base. My own base percentages was good. I was a pretty decent athlete, man. And, all of a sudden, I got to leave Vance and go to another school, West Charlotte High School.
So what made you have to leave?
To be honest, where we were living at, my younger brother, like, we had moved in with my dad, me and my brother.
Okay.
Now, my brother's not even my dad's son.
Okay.
So, but my brother is my best friend.
Right.
You know, we 3 years different in age or whatever the case may be. But so we moved in with my dad. My brother was getting into a whole bunch of problems and fights and stuff like that where we was living at. And of course, I'm gonna have his back. But we got evicted. We got evicted from where we was staying at, and my dad had to find somewhere for us to move, and we ended up moving on Batersford Road. Being that we moved on Batersford Road, that requires new schooling. So I had to go to a different school. And when we moved, it was bad timing because I had to wait. The school that I went to was West Charlotte. West Charlotte and Vance, they was in the same conference. And being that I moved late, like right before school was starting, like 2 days before school was starting, I wasn't eligible to play football.
Right.
Because I moved in conference too late. So I had to sit out my 10th grade year from playing football, which instead I played NCYFL football.
Okay.
I played NCYFL football for the Steelers, the Men Hill Steelers. We won a championship, everything. That was so easy for me. I'm coming from playing varsity football to playing against my age group now. I dominated. I was easily the MVP. I played, once again, running back, quarterback, whatever required. I played D-tackle, whatever was required at the time. I was manhandling people. We went undefeated, 14-0. So after that season was over with, mind you, I didn't go to any football practices for the Steelers. Every single day after high school, I'm at West Charlotte football practice. I'm there joking around, messing with the football, messing with the coaches. Like, I'm there every single day. I'm at West Charlotte football practice. I'm not even thinking about going to my Steelers football practice and practicing with those little boys. I'd rather be in the weight room or swimming with the people my age group or doing something like that. So that's why it was so easy for me to come out there and play NCYFL against people that was my age or younger than me, you know, compared to playing against people my age or older than me and way stronger than me.
Right.
Like, I was the biggest person on the field my 10th grade year playing NCYFL ball, playing safety, quarterback, running back. Like, it was crazy. Then football season was over with. I jumped into basketball season at West Charlotte, played varsity basketball. Team wasn't so good. Started. I was a part of the team that played Stephen Curry his senior year. He played for Charlotte Christian. We played them at the Bobcats Arena. They beat us 90-50. I was a part of that team. It was pretty decent, man. You know, we had what we had. As soon as that was over with and I got to play football for West Charlotte my 11th grade year, we went from maybe like the 5th team in the conference to being the number 1 team in the conference my 11th grade year. We won a state championship. I mean, we didn't win a state championship. We went to the state championship. We won a conference championship. We had played against North Mac. We had won a conference championship. We ended up playing in the playoffs, playing against Purnell Sweat, playing against a few other teams. Played against Watauga. That was probably the coldest game that I ever played in my 11th grade year. It was in Wilmington. We played against them. We won 21-0 and went to the state championship. We lost the state championship my 11th grade year. I won offensive MVP of the state championship game. We played a much better team. We played a much better team that was more physical than us, that was better coached than us. We had, my 11th grade year, we had 29 juniors, 4 seniors, and maybe like 2 sophomores. So my senior year, my junior year, rewind back to my junior year, I had passed for the whole year. I had passed for 1,100 yards and I rushed for 1,100 yards. We ran spread offense, you know, like read option offense.
Right.
Our running back, he was a junior with us. He ran for 2,600 yards. He was a junior, led the state in rushing yards and everything. But my senior year, I running back transferred to go to National Powerhouse Independence. I became the guy.
Right.
We got a new head coach in, and he was a spread 5 wide guy, and we ran the 5 wide no huddle the whole game, man. And
Who was the head coach?
Maurice Flowers was the head coach. Coach Mo Flowers, he taught me everything that I needed to know about football, from what techniques the D lineman in to what coverages defense is running in, where to go if this linebacker blitz, if you see this safety rotating over. Like, he taught me all the X and O's. I used to skip class and tell Coach Flowers that my teacher said it was okay for me to leave. I used to make fake notes for me to leave class and go hang with Coach Flowers just to watch film all day long. And he'd let me watch film all day long. My senior year, we got to be so good, like, I stopped having to go to class. I can leave school whenever I wanted to. I could go get a haircut before this football game. Teachers used to let me use their car to go get food. Like, we was so good, and we was restoring the roar. Like, they were so happy that West Charlotte was back good again, and I was the head of that, playing quarterback. Like, I passed my senior year, I passed for 4,600 yards, 56 touchdowns. I ran for another 670 yards with another 17 touchdowns. Like, we were real good. Our defense was the #1 defense in the state.
Wow.
We lost against Independence in the 3rd game of the season. I passed for over 500 yards. I ran for over 75 yards, and we lost. They called back 3 touchdowns. We lost. The very next week, after the Independence game, we played against Butler. Butler was the #1 in the Sweet 16 around the time. That was #8 nationally ranked. We ended up beating them. So more publicity. The more publicity I got, the more freedom I had in high school.
Right.
Like, I didn't have to do much of nothing during football season. Kind of handicapped me, in which I'm mad because my grandmother seen that on me and seen from me coming from middle school or coming from Vance to where I got all this work to do and I'm doing all these projects and I got to turn all this in to now I'm at West Charlotte and I'm not even saying nothing about homework. I'm not even saying nothing about a project or a senior exit project or anything like that. I'm not even mentioning none of that. Anything about any kind of homework never even came to my mind my senior year. Well, from the first semester of my senior year, nothing, no homework or none of that came to my mind, man. It was pretty much a breeze.
Right. You would say you had a successful high school career.
Definitely.
So with all that being said, did you get any scholarships or anything? I know that you said earlier that your grandmother told you when you went out to school not to come back. So that means, where did you end up going after high school?
Well, high school, the only major Division I offer that I had was a partial offer from Carolina, and they wanted me to switch up my position, in which I felt like I'm a natural born quarterback. I don't want to go compete and play safety with these people that's been playing safety their whole life.
Right.
I've been playing quarterback my whole life. My 9th grade year, I played safety, or whatever the case may be. That's not where I wanted to be at. I wanted to play quarterback. Carolina was the only major Division I school. Any HBCU in America I could have went to. I could have went to Southern Alabama. I could have went to, you name it, HBCUs I could have went to. I didn't want to go to a HBCU because I felt like my high school was a HBCU.
Right.
I went to West Charlotte High School. It was 98% black, and you can flunk out, you can party out, you can do whatever you wanted to. So I didn't want to go to no college like that. So it was between either Appalachian State, Gardner-Webb, Georgia Southern, or Southern Alabama that I really wanted to go to. But I ended up deciding to go to Gardner-Webb because it was close, all because I wanted my granny to be able to come to the game. If I would have went to South Alabama, my grandmother wouldn't have been able to come to the game.
Right.
Or wouldn't have been able to support me. It would have been hard for my family to come support me wherever I was at. I wanted to go to Georgia Southern bad. I liked Georgia Southern, the offense that they was running, and they just had that one senior quarterback, so I would have been coming in, competing to start. I wanted to go there bad. Appalachian State, it was pretty cool, but Amani L was at the time. Appalachian State had won a national championship his freshman year and his sophomore year. So if I would have signed, I would have been a freshman. Amani L was junior year.
Right.
So I know I would have been watching for 2 years.
Right.
You know, so I didn't want to go there or whatever the case, Appalachian State. But I signed to go to Gardner Webb, which was an hour and 15 minutes away from where I was living. My grandmother can come to the game. My mother can come to the game. I got to Gardner Webb. I was at Gardner Webb for maybe 10 days. We in summer camp. They showing our offensive linemen how to get in the three-point stand, how to kick slide, all these things that I feel like you supposed to know. I'm feeling like I'm way bigger than this. I'm playing quarterback. It's 6 quarterbacks. I know for a fact everybody on the team know, the coaches know that I'm the best quarterback that we got. They teaching quarterbacks how to do 3-step drops, what to read. They showing you, like, if you see 2 high safeties, 9 times out of 10, that's a cover 2. I'm feeling like I'm way better than this.
Right.
So I call home, I'm crying to my daddy, like, I can't go here. Like, this school is like a middle school. Like, I can't, no, I'm not trying to be here. I cried to him. So at the time, I decommitted from Gardner Webb. I went to at the time I wasn't trying to go to no black colleges or whatever, so I went to a junior college to reopen my ability to be able to go to a bigger school. So I went to Garden City Community College. That's in Garden City, Kansas. At the time, that was second in their conference as far as winning. Their record was 10-2. That was pretty good, or whatever the case may be. But they was putting a lot of people in Division I football. Like, if it's a 53-man roster, I know at least 25 of them going Division I.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I seen that and took that opportunity to go there, or whatever the case may be. And I went off to Kansas. And what made me come back so soon, I spent a semester and a half there. Like, the first semester I'm there, I'm on a football team. I didn't play as much. We had 2 other quarterbacks that was ahead of me, so I didn't play. I came in, I ran some scat quarterback. I had some rushing yards. I wasn't fully, I was a 3rd string quarterback. My first semester there, I'm a 3rd string quarterback, so I really didn't play that much. It was cool to me. I was happy with being off in Kansas, or whatever the case may be, experiencing new things. But so we got back that second, so I had came home from that first semester, came home around Christmas time or whatever. At the time, my girlfriend at the time, she was pregnant with my daughter. So we going back to start second semester. We starting football, we starting little camp, like spring, all that. Like, we started training from the bottom of January on through spring break. I'm on the depth chart, I'm second on the depth chart, I'm showing to prove. I don't put on 15 pounds of muscle, like I'm doing good or whatever the case may be. But school got so boring to me and I was missing my family so much. And my brother was back home getting into so much trouble. My mom getting into trouble with her and her boyfriend, having these domestic violent things going on. My sister and her child's father are going through these things. My grandmother's health is up and down. Like, it was a lot that was going through my mind, and school wasn't where I wanted to be at. Right. So I was battling a lot of things, like knowing that being in school can change my whole environment as far as back home. Mm-hmm. Like, I can be in school, become this successful person, but at the same time, I wanted to be at home because of the symbol that I represented for my family, and I felt like my family need me. If I was at home, my brother wouldn't be getting into this trouble, or my sister can call me whenever her and her child father get into this, or I can be there for my grandmother whenever she's feeling this way, and can't nobody make my grandmother feel how I can make her feel. Right. Or so, and then I got this child due at the same time, so I came home for spring break. Mind you, I'm doing good on the football team. I just put on 15 pounds of muscle. I'm doing good. I'm working my way up the depth chart. I'm second on the depth chart. I done got my jersey number. My first year, I had number 14. And that's nowhere near what I want to wear. I done got my jersey number. I'm wearing number 1. And I'm doing real good. I go home for spring break, and I don't even come back to school. I had my daughter. I seen my daughter. And I didn't want to miss that time out of her life, like how my dad missed out of my life. Right. So and then I was so far away, like it was hard for me to even like to get back home from spring break, my grandmother had to do a lot to get a plane ticket for me. And then I waited to the last minute, so it was so much money. And then I'm not even thinking about how much money it's gonna be to get me back.
I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment all my life now. All my dreams are coming true, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment. It's good to be alive right about now.